And here we are again. We're at chapter 20, verse 6. Though his of the book of Job, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, Where is he? Notes. Zophar is being very insulting and further says that future generations will ask, What has become of Job? Well, that's rather insulting to compare this man to a bodily excrement, if you will. Verse 8. He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yes, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. Notes, he's accusing Job of having gained his former riches by oppressing poor people. Okay, and Job flatly replied to them and told them, when have I ever done this? Okay, and he will go on to say, I've actually broken the teeth of people who have done these things. Verse 11. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue. Though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth. Notes. Even though he won't admit to evil, Job, Zophar says, is actually full of evil. He's full of the devil, is what he's saying. Verse 14. Yet his meat in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of asp within him. Notes. Job is now referred to as a snake, and a very poisonous one at that. He's just full of the devil. His bowels are turned about, and the gall of asp is within him. Well, he's saying that he's full of venomous snake oil, or not snake oil, but venom, and that nothing good ever comes out of his mouth. Now, what kind of a pal is that? Verse 15. He has swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again, and God shall cast them out of his belly. Notes. The wicked man shall be made to disgorge his ill-gotten gains, which he claims that Job has done all along. Okay? Verse 16. He shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. Notes. Now, this is an allegory right here, or a figure of speech, I should say. He's saying that Satan will ultimately take him out. Well, if it weren't for God, that's exactly what would happen. Verse 17. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. Notes. He's saying that Job may have once seen such, but he will see it no more. It's all going to be over with, okay? And it's almost as if he's gloating that these things are happening. Verse 18. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein, because he is oppressed and has forsaken the poor, because he has violently taken away an house which he built not. Notes. Once again, Job is accused of having gained his former riches by deceit and fraud, and from especially oppressing poor people. Verse 20. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. Notes. Job was never satisfied, and that he continued to oppress the poor long after he was extremely wealthy. He's basically accusing him of being someone in Wall Street right now. Verse 21. There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. Notes. In other words, the Lord has taken everything away because of Job's such vile sin that Job has committed. Verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Notes, now all this has happened because Job is just so wicked. Now this is Zophar speaking right here. What a lovely person he actually is. Wouldn't you just love to have friends like that? Verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Notes. Well, we got a world where many, like Zophar, seem to enjoy calling down the wrath of God on others, when God may not have actually any kind of problem with that person at all. Well, in this case, that's really the truth. You know, God will judge any kind of sin that Job may have actually committed, and he will be fair with it, of course, but God is not doing anything wrong to Job. Verse 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and comes out of the body. Yes, the glittering sword comes out of his gall, and terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Notes. He's saying that anyone who even gets near him is going to suffer judgment. And well, people actually believe that. They were afraid to get near him. Verse 27. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. Notes. Well, actually, even though it's true for any man, the very opposite actually happened. Heaven revealed his righteousness, and men once again sought his help and his advice once again. Well, this verse is saying that God will ultimately reveal iniquity, but they're directing it at Job. And Job is just absolutely confused. He doesn't know what in the world they're actually trying to pin against him. Anyways, verse 28. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. Notes. Once again, God can indeed and has done these things, but the very opposite happened to Job, because Job really didn't do anything major wrong. Verse 29. This is the portion of a wicked man from God, and the heritage appointed upon him by God. Notes. Now, Zophar's argument seemed plausible enough so that the entirety of all who knew Job agreed with his summation, and therefore soundly condemned Job themselves. But once again, it shows that the majority are not always right, and in fact, when it comes to situations like this, they very seldom are. Chapter 21. But Job answered and said, Hear diligently my speech, and let this be your consolations. Suffer me that I may speak, and after that I have spoken, mock on. Notes. He's saying, hear what I have to say, and if you do not agree, then keep on running your mouth. Keep on ratchet jawing. And, well, that's exactly what they did. Verse 4. As for me, is my complaint to man? And if it were so, why should not my spirit be troubled? Notes. In other words, he's saying, I'm not looking for man. I'm looking for God. Okay? And who could blame him when the situation got this bad? I mean, the fires have really been turned up on this man. No man in the Word of God that was a mere human being has ever been tested quite like this. I mean, the Apostle Paul went through a lot of things, but nothing even remotely compares to what happens to this man. Verse 5. Mark me and be astonished, and lay your hand upon your mouth. Notes. In other words, hear me out and shut up. Verse 6. Even when I remember, I am afraid, and trembling takes hold on my flesh. Notes. When I think of all the things that have happened to me recently, I tremble with fear, And who could really blame this man for being afraid? Verse 7, wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yes, are mighty in power. Notes. Now, here we have a very brilliant statement. Job says that sometimes the wicked live as long as the righteous and are mighty in power, in fact. So the argument of his friends doesn't really hold any water. What a statement right there. I mean, you can think of some evil tyrant in history that died of old age. Well, the judgment of God just simply did not come down on that person, and so it is. God has His reasons for that. Verse 8, their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Notes. He's saying that oftentimes the very children of the wicked are blessed, at least with worldly goods, not of God, though. Verse 9, their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Certainly true right there. Verse 10, their bull genders and fails not, their cow calves and cast not her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and harp, and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Notes. These people are so blessed that they die without suffering from any prolonged or severe illness. A recent death, a very, very close friend of mine by the name of Sue Sanders, she passed away. She was one of the most loving people that you would ever meet in your life, but yet for years on end she suffered from one illness right after another. She was not some great sinner. I would be very interested to hear what Zophar, Bildad, and Elihu, and what's the other one's name? I would be interested to hear what they would actually have to say about her. But the bottom line is that sometimes good things just continue to happen to bad people, and sometimes rotten things happen to very, very good people. And that's just really just the way it is. And what's talking about their bull gendering and fails not, and their calves, they cast not their calf. That means that they get pregnant and they have children, and there's no problem with that. They're blessed, they're wealthy, they're in good shape. Kind of reminds me of the TV show Sopranos, where wicked people were definitely prospering. Verse 14, before I get off subject. Therefore they say unto God, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of your ways. Notes. Well, what a statement we have right there. That pretty much characterizes the attitude of most of the world. Hundreds of millions are steeped in heathenistic idolatry. Other hundreds of millions know about God, but, they do not want any part of Him. We live in a very hedonistic, pleasure-seeking society right now. I mean, if it's there, go have fun with it. It's the attitude nowadays. Not a care in the world for God. Verse 15, what is the Almighty that we should serve Him? And what profit should we have if we pray unto Him? Notes. Well, the love of money being the root of all evil, unconverted man only thinks in terms of profit. Not being spiritually minded, he has no idea as to the profit found in serving God and praying unto Him. In fact, this is one of the greatest profits of all. Verse 16, lo, their good is not in their hand, and the counsel of the wicked is far from me. Notes. Well, Job says that the wicked sometimes prosper without being judged by God in this life any more than the righteous. So the reasoning that he was so wicked because of suffering and was a wicked man because of suffering and judgments of the wicked proved nothing in this case. And we will have to pick up in chapter 21, verse 17. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of giving out a little bit. Anyways, I'll continue on. Thank you, and God bless. Bye-bye.